Here are Grandma's 35 Great Depression recipes to save money. Water pie. Have you ever heard of water pie? This humble, budget-friendly Depression-era dessert is made from the simplest of ingredients. Preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. In an unbaked pie crust, pour 1½ cups of water. In a separate bowl, mix 1 cup of sugar, 4 tablespoons of flour, and a pinch of salt. Sprinkle this mixture evenly over the water in the pie crust. Dot with 5 tablespoons of butter and drizzle 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract over the top. Bake for 30 to 40 minutes until the filling sets and the crust is golden. Cool before slicing. Johnny cakes. Johnny cakes are a classic, simple meal enjoyed for generations and was often made by Grandma. To make them, mix 1 cup of cornmeal, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of sugar in a bowl. Gradually add 3/4 to 1 cup of boiling water, stirring until thick and smooth. Heat a skillet over medium heat and add oil or butter. Drop spoonfuls of batter onto the skillet, flattening slightly. Cook until crispy and golden brown, about 3 to 4 minutes per side. Serve hot with honey or butter. Depression coffee substitute. During the Great Depression, coffee was often too expensive, leading people to find creative substitutes. To make a coffee alternative, roast barley, chicory root, or even acorns in a dry skillet over medium heat until dark brown and fragrant. Allow the roasted material to cool, then grind it into a fine powder using a coffee grinder or mortar and pestle. Brew this mixture as you would regular coffee, using 1 to 2 tablespoons per cup of hot water. The result is a warm, comforting drink with a rich, earthy flavor. Peanut butter and mayo sandwich. Peanut butter and mayo sandwich is a simple, filling dish that became popular in the 1930s. In a sandwich, spread peanut butter on 1 slice of bread and mayonnaise on the other. Press them together and you have a meal. The combination of creamy mayo and nutty peanut butter might seem unusual, but it's surprisingly satisfying. This sandwich was a quick, budget-friendly option when ingredients were scarce. Eleanor Roosevelt spaghetti with carrots and white sauce. This creative dish reflects Eleanor Roosevelt's commitment to frugality during the Great Depression. Start by cooking 1 cup of spaghetti until al dente. In another pan, sauté 1 chopped onion in butter until translucent. Add 2 finely chopped carrots and cook until tender. Stir in 2 tablespoons of flour to make a roux, then gradually whisk in 1 cup of milk, stirring until thickened. Toss the cooked spaghetti with the carrot mixture. This recipe showcases her efforts to promote simple, budget-friendly meals. Potato dumplings. Potato dumplings became popular in the early 20th century and remained a staple during the 1930s. Start by boiling 4 medium potatoes in salted water until tender, then drain and mash. Allow the mashed potatoes to cool slightly. In a mixing bowl, combine the potatoes with 1 beaten egg, 1 cup of flour, and a pinch of salt. Mix until a dough forms. Roll the dough into small balls, about 1 inch in diameter. Drop the dumplings into a pot of boiling salted water and cook until they float, about 5 minutes. Drain and serve hot, often with gravy or butter. Soy and lima bean loaf. Soy and lima bean loaf was Grandma's creative response to the scarcity of meat during lean years. Soybeans and lima beans were both affordable and high in protein, making them ideal substitutes. To prepare, cook 1 cup of soybeans and 1 cup of lima beans until tender. Mash the beans and mix with 1 chopped onion, 1 beaten egg, and 1/2 cup of breadcrumbs. Season with salt, pepper, and your favorite herbs. Form the mixture into a loaf and bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 45 minutes. This loaf was a hearty, nutritious alternative to meatloaf, providing sustenance without breaking the bank. Poorman's pudding. Poorman's pudding is a simple dessert that became a comforting treat when sugar and other sweet ingredients were often rationed. To make this pudding, mix 1/2 cup of flour, 1/2 cup of sugar, and a pinch of salt in a saucepan. Gradually add 2 cups of milk, stirring until smooth. Cook over medium heat, stirring constantly until the mixture thickens. Remove from heat and stir in a bit of vanilla extract for flavor. Pour the pudding into bowls and let it cool before serving. This pudding was a way to enjoy a sweet treat with minimal ingredients. Cornmeal mush. Cornmeal mush was a versatile and filling dish during difficult times, often served for breakfast or as a side dish. Made from simple ingredients, it was both economical and satisfying. To prepare, bring 4 cups of water to a boil in a saucepan. Gradually whisk in 1 cup of cornmeal, reducing the heat to low. Cook, stirring frequently until thickened, about 10 to 15 minutes. Pour the mush into a loaf pan and let it cool until firm. Once set, slice the mush and fry the slices in a skillet with butter until golden brown. Cornmeal mush was a staple that could be served sweet or savory. Rice and raisin porridge. Rice and raisin porridge was a comforting, budget-friendly breakfast, offering warmth and sweetness with minimal ingredients. To make it, cook 1 cup of rice in 2 cups of water until tender. In a separate pot, heat 2 cups of milk and stir in 1/2 cup of raisins, 1/4 cup of sugar, and a pinch of salt. Add the cooked rice to the milk mixture and simmer until thick and creamy. This porridge was often served hot, providing a nutritious and filling start to the day, with the raisins adding a touch of sweetness. Tomato sauce with mashed potatoes. Tomato sauce with mashed potatoes is a simple, comforting dish that makes the most of limited ingredients, which Grandma often made. Boil 4 medium potatoes until tender. While the potatoes cook, heat 2 tablespoons of oil in a pan and sauté 1 chopped onion until soft. Add 1 can of tomato sauce, seasoning with salt and pepper. Mash the cooked potatoes with a bit of butter and salt. Serve the tomato sauce over the mashed potatoes. This dish was a filling and budget-friendly meal during the Great Depression. Deviled eggs. Have you heard about deviled eggs? These were a popular but high-protein, inexpensive appetizer in the 1930s. To make, begin by boiling 6 eggs until hard-cooked, about 10 minutes. Cool the eggs in ice water, then peel and slice them in half lengthwise. Carefully remove the yolks and place them in a bowl. Mash the yolks with a fork and mix in 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise, 1 teaspoon of mustard, and a pinch of salt and pepper. Spoon or pipe the yolk mixture back into the egg whites, sprinkle it with paprika for garnish, and serve chilled. Depression biscuits. Depression biscuits were a quick bread option without yeast. Preheat the oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Combine 2 cups of flour, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Cut in 1/4 cup of shortening until crumbly. Gradually add 3/4 cup of milk, mixing until dough forms. Knead briefly, roll out to 1/2 inch, and cut into biscuits. Bake for 10 to 12 minutes until golden. These biscuits were an easy, satisfying bread alternative. Peanut butter stuffed baked onion. Peanut butter stuffed baked onion is a unique, savory dish during the Great Depression. Preheat the oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Peel a large onion and hollow out the center. Fill the cavity with 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. Place the onion in a baking dish. Drizzle with oil and cover with foil. Bake for 45 minutes until the onion is tender and the peanut butter is melted. This creative dish combined inexpensive ingredients into a protein-rich meal. Eggless, milkless, butterless cake. Eggless, milkless, butterless cake was a popular dessert during Grandma's time. To make, preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. In a dish, mix 1½ cups of flour, 1 cup of sugar, 1/4 cup of cocoa powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Make 3 wells, adding vinegar, vanilla, and oil. Pour 1 cup of water over and mix. Bake for 30 to 35 minutes until set. Rice pudding. Rice pudding has been a beloved comfort food for centuries, especially during tough times. To make it, cook 1 cup of medium grain rice in 2 cups of water until tender, about 15 minutes. In another pot, heat 2 cups of milk with 1/4 cup of sugar until warm. Stir the cooked rice into the milk mixture. Add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract and a pinch of cinnamon. Simmer on low heat for 20 minutes, stirring occasionally until thickened. Serve warm or chilled, optionally garnished with a sprinkle of cinnamon or raisins. Onion sandwich. Onion sandwiches were a staple in the Great Depression for their simplicity and affordability. Begin by slicing a medium-sized onion into thin, even rounds. Butter 2 slices of bread generously, then layer the onion slices between them. For added flavor, sprinkle the onion with a pinch of salt and pepper. Press the sandwich together firmly. For a more substantial version, you can add a slice of cheese or some mustard. This quick, no-cook meal was perfect for stretching limited ingredients. Mulligan stew. Mulligan stew was a popular dish among hobos and families alike, known for using whatever ingredients were available. Start by browning 1 pound of ground beef in a large pot. Add 2 chopped onions, 2 diced carrots, 3 diced potatoes, and any other available vegetables. Pour in 4 cups of water or broth, then season with 1 teaspoon of salt and 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. Simmer the stew for about 1 hour, stirring occasionally until the vegetables are tender. This adaptable stew made a hearty meal from whatever was on hand. Dandelion greens. Dandelion greens were a free and nutritious food source, often foraged in rural areas. After thoroughly washing, blanch the greens in boiling water for 2 minutes, then drain. In a skillet, heat 2 tablespoons of olive oil and saute 2 minced garlic cloves until fragrant. Add the blanched greens and cook for another 5 minutes, stirring occasionally. Season with salt, pepper, and a squeeze of lemon juice. These greens provided essential vitamins and minerals, making them a valuable addition to meals during lean times. Hot water cornbread. Hot water cornbread, a Southern classic, was a quick and easy bread recipe by Grandma, which is made with basic ingredients. Start by mixing 1 cup of cornmeal, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of sugar in a bowl. Gradually stir in 1 cup of boiling water until the mixture forms a thick batter. Heat 3 tablespoons of oil in a skillet over medium heat. Drop spoonfuls of the batter into the hot oil, flattening slightly with a spatula. Fry for 3 to 4 minutes per side until golden brown. Serve hot, traditionally with butter or syrup. Milkweedu. Milkweedu was a simple, nourishing breakfast made from cracked wheat during the Great Depression. In a saucepan, bring 2 cups of whole milk to a gentle simmer. Slowly stir in 1/2 cup of cracked wheat and add a pinch of salt. Reduce heat to low and cook, stirring frequently for 20 minutes until the mixture thickens and the wheat is tender. Sweeten with 1 tablespoon of honey or sugar and optionally sprinkle with cinnamon before serving. Depression-era meatloaf. Depression-era meatloaf was designed to stretch ground meat with affordable fillers. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. In a large mixing bowl, combine 1 pound of ground beef, 1 cup of rolled oats, 1 finely chopped onion, 1 beaten egg, and 1/2 cup of milk. Season with 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, and 2 tablespoons of ketchup. Mix thoroughly and shape into a loaf. Place the loaf in a greased baking dish and bake for 1 hour until fully cooked. Allow to rest for 10 minutes before slicing. Tomato gravy and biscuits. Tomato gravy and biscuits was a hearty Southern dish during the Great Depression. Bake biscuits following your favorite recipe. For the gravy, heat 2 tablespoons of bacon grease or butter in a skillet over medium heat. Whisk in 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, cooking until it forms a golden roux. Gradually add 2 cups of canned tomato juice, stirring constantly until the mixture thickens. Season with 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, and a pinch of sugar. Serve the rich tomato gravy ladled generously over warm biscuits. Prune whip. Prune whip was a light, airy dessert using dried prunes. Start by stewing 1 cup of pitted prunes in water for 10 minutes until soft. Drain and puree the prunes in a blender until smooth. In a separate bowl, beat 3 egg whites with an electric mixer until stiff peaks form. Gradually fold the prune puree into the egg whites, adding 2 tablespoons of sugar and 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. Pour the mixture into a greased baking dish and bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 to 20 minutes until set. Serve chilled or at room temperature. Desperation pies. Desperation pies, like vinegar pie, were made when fresh fruit was scarce. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. In a mixing bowl, whisk together 1 cup of granulated sugar, 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour tarts, and a pinch of salt. Gradually stir in 2 cups of water, 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar, and 2 tablespoons of melted butter. Pour the filling into an unbaked pie crust and bake for 45 minutes until the filling is set and slightly golden. Allow the pie to cool completely before slicing and serving. Lima bean and peanut loaf. Lima bean and peanut loaf was a protein-rich alternative to meat. Cook 1 cup of dried lima beans until tender, then mash. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Mix in 1/2 cup chopped peanuts, 1 chopped onion, 1 beaten egg, and 1 cup breadcrumbs. Season with salt, pepper, and 1 tablespoon soy sauce. Shape into a loaf, place in a greased dish, and bake for 45 minutes until firm. Cornstarch pudding. Cornstarch pudding was a creamy, budget-friendly dessert. In a saucepan, whisk together 1/2 cup sugar, 1/4 cup cornstarch, and a pinch of salt. Gradually add 4 cups of milk, stirring until smooth. Cook over medium heat, stirring constantly until thickened and boiling, about 10 minutes. Remove from heat. Stir in 1 teaspoon of vanilla and pour into dishes. Chill until set for a comforting treat. Depression milk gravy. Depression milk gravy was a versatile sauce that was often made by Grandma. Melt 2 tablespoons of butter in a skillet over medium heat. Stir in 2 tablespoons of flour, cooking until golden. Gradually whisk in 2 cups of milk, stirring constantly until thickened, about 5 minutes. Season with 1 teaspoon of salt and 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. Serve hot over bread, potatoes, or biscuits for a simple, satisfying meal. Corned beef luncheon salad. Corned beef luncheon salad was made with canned meat. Chop 1 can of corned beef into cubes. Mix with 1 cup diced celery, 1/2 cup chopped pickles, and 1/4 cup mayonnaise. Add 1 teaspoon mustard, 1 tablespoon vinegar, salt, and pepper. Chill for 1 hour before serving. This salad was often served on lettuce or as a sandwich filling, providing a flavorful, hearty meal. Bread and gravy. Bread and gravy was a simple, filling meal. Melt 2 tablespoons of butter in a skillet. Stir in 2 tablespoons of flour, cooking for 1 minute. Gradually whisk in 2 cups of milk or broth, stirring until thickened, about 5 minutes. Season with salt and pepper. Slice day-old bread and pour the hot gravy over it. This dish was a practical way to make a meal from minimal ingredients. Bean and tomato stew. Bean and tomato stew was a hearty, budget-friendly meal. Start by sautéing 1 chopped onion in 2 tablespoons of oil over medium heat until soft. Add 2 minced garlic cloves and cook for 1 minute. Stir in 2 cans of beans, such as kidney or pinto beans, and 1 can of crushed tomatoes. Season with 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, and 1 teaspoon of paprika. Simmer for 20 minutes. Serve hot with bread if available. Milcorno. Milcorno was a nutritious Depression-era dish made from cornmeal and powdered milk. In a pot, bring 4 cups of water to a boil. Gradually stir in 1 cup of cornmeal, whisking to prevent lumps. Reduce heat to low and cook, stirring frequently for 10 minutes until thickened. Add 1 cup of reconstituted powdered milk, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and a pinch of salt. Continue cooking for 5 minutes until creamy. Serve warm, often as a breakfast porridge. Hominy and bacon. Have you heard about hominy and bacon? It is said that this was a flavorful, filling dish during Grandma's time. Begin by frying 6 slices of chopped bacon in a skillet over medium heat until crisp. Remove the bacon and set aside, leaving the drippings in the pan. Add 1 can of drained hominy to the skillet and cook in the bacon drippings until warmed through, about 5 minutes. Stir in the cooked bacon, season with salt and pepper, and serve hot. This dish was a popular, savory meal during lean times. Potato soup. Potato soup was a simple, comforting dish Grandma often makes. Peel and dice 4 or medium potatoes and 1 onion. In a large pot, melt 2 tablespoons of butter over medium heat. Add the diced onion and cook until soft. Add the potatoes and 4 cups of water or broth. Bring to a boil, then reduce heat and simmer until the potatoes are tender. About 15 minutes, mash some of the potatoes for a thicker consistency. Season with salt and pepper before serving. Corn fritters. Corn fritters were a tasty, budget-friendly treat during the 1930s. In a bowl, mix 1 cup of cornmeal, 1/2 cup of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and a pinch of salt. Stir in 1 egg, 1/2 cup of milk, and 1 cup of canned or fresh corn kernels until combined. Heat oil in a skillet over medium heat. Drop spoonfuls of the batter into the hot oil, flattening slightly. Fry each side for about 3 minutes until golden brown. Serve warm, often with syrup or honey. For more contents like this, click here to subscribe.